Greetings and salutations, theological introspection here. So this will be the second installment to the Fool's Journey through the Bible. So I'm going to mention that this is my third take. The first take, the reason is not important. Second take, the reason is, this is why I mentioned this, took me a couple of goes to actually find the right version of the Bible that I'm using. So, turns out I'm using an authorized version of the King James Bible. I haven't done a complete one-to-one check, but I'll probably do it as I go, as this will probably be the reference I'm using. I don't believe it's... There is actually a fair bit of difference already, I've noticed. It is actually important. So I'm going to go with my one because I think it's important that this is the one that's come down through my family and is the one that has been handed to me ritualistically, so to speak. Very interesting. At the start of chapter 2, this is Genesis chapter 2 obviously, we get the ending of chapter 1. Why is it here? Is probably an interesting thought that I had about this part. Why wouldn't you put it in the first verse? Is this the first chapter? Is this important? I don't think it's that important of a question myself, but it would be interesting to hear anybody's thoughts. On the second verse, it's what's the implication of an omni-God resting is what I've got here. Because he's doing work, and work implies that it caused him effort. To an omni-God, what even is effort? Does it take effort to do anything? From what everybody was saying in the stream today, they were talking about as Elohim as like a group of empowered peoples, but obviously the common Christian narrative would be God himself. I'm inclined to go more towards their way, but I see God as more of a like man behind the scenes sort of deal, giving out the orders, maybe contributing in ways that they don't have the powers to, or something like that. It'd be beyond human comprehension. I'll note that my version talks about a host, of a group of people, so that's where I'm probably kind of getting this idea from, and it definitely focuses on God having done work as well. In verse 3, I've got 7th day is sanctified because God recognizes his efforts, potentially like an at ease to his helpers. Because although it does very much specify that it's his work, as we've seen in the previous chapter, it was most likely done by a group, helping him do his work. He takes, as the leader, you obviously take full responsibility, but that means you also take full credit. Obviously, he can thank everybody that helped him put in, but it is his work, it's his plan, it's his creation, so to speak. In verse 4, I've got, what becomes of these generations? Are they different somehow? Being that they are sanctified, they can't be unholy or sinful. What is the implication of creating this distinction? Also, what is the implication of generations in heaven? So, in my one, it does actually mention generations. These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created, in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. So, like, it's already here speaking about the generations. No, it's talking about that these are the generations that he created in the original, in the first story, as they were actually pointed out to me today in the stream again. And it's I found this was a difference between this and the NIV and the usual King James, is they don't mention this. There's actually different wordage, and there's nowhere near as much context added. I get a lot longer of a verse in my book. In verse 5, I've got, "Here I think we see God wanting man to tame the wild generations of plants and herbs, to bring order and cultivation. God actually wants to see his creation used. Rainless isn't scientific, of course." Man, my handwriting's terrible. I can't even read that. So, rainless plants is what I was kind of getting at, because it says, "In every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground." This is what I mean. There's no man to work the field. There's no man to cultivate the plants. And with no rain, there's obviously no growth to the plants either. So it's kind of a bit iffy. But if we think about it from the scientific standpoint as well, a lot of the plants did grow from the water onto the land, so there wasn't need for as much rain. And then once they did get onto the land, maybe you can argue then they needed the rain, but they would have had taken a while to get away from the water's edge anyway. It's kind of a mute point, but what I'm thinking it's more getting at is, we're talking about these waters of creation again, this essence of creation. He hasn't let it rain down and let them evolve, maybe. Is actually now, after the stream, I'm more thinking about it. This is what's the beauty of this book, I find, is that no matter how many times you reread it, you can get different meanings. Into the verse 6, "God turns on the rain, no explanation given, must be..." Mist is clouds, obviously, maybe explaining rain in general. So, "But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground." It just sounds like they're explaining how clouds came to be and then watered it. And it's not even like God did it, it's like it just happened, actually, now that I look at it again. In verse 7, my note is, "Man is formed from dust," seems more of a metaphorical description. I feel this is emphasized by the breath of life. It's poetic. It is only at this point we become more than apes in a spiritual sense. So when we talk about the actual creation of Adam, and the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Like, literally, it's only at that point that man is separated from beast. Man is made something special with the breath of life. Yeah, I think it's pretty self-explanatory metaphor. I don't think it really needs to... Well, it is separating it from the waters, as we find. And like we found before, the earth rises out of the waters as if it's not even created from the waters. So it's almost as if there was something about where God was that he desired something to be created, maybe there's more to it that we can't comprehend just yet. Maybe there's a little bit more that we need to understand about these concepts like waters and the earth and stuff like that, and trying to think of it in a more naturalistic, deductive sense. Just, it doesn't work. So now we get into 1:8. After God makes Eden, he puts in the garden. There are other people out there, but they don't have the breath of life. What does this imply? So, after God makes Eden, he puts a specific man in that garden. So, and out of the ground may the Lord go 1H, dumbass. And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. So, God makes a specific man, and then he puts him in Eden. And remember, so now that I've thought about this is how when he actually creates man on the 5th day, I believe, and puts him in Eden, which is the same day he makes animals. Yeah. 1:9. Here we get an explanation of intended nourishment, with a plan seeming to form in the guise of the life and knowledge trees. And the river went, and out of the ground may the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So like I said, in my eyes, we're starting to get a metaphorical plan. And part of it is beauty, hinted at it as beauty, another part is knowledge, and the other part is life. God makes a river that splits into 4. This waters Eden. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads. So, kind of liking the way I'm doing this, because I'm reading my notes and going back into it to think of what I had said and why I had said it. And it's now we see more of a, if I think about it, it's like you think about those fields where they cut the water coming down, so he's like cut it into 4, and he's got his different trees. Perhaps you got the tree of knowledge on this side, whatever have you. He's got like his floor plan going on for his garden, and it does mention heads in mine, so don't know how important that is, but because you can just say that about a river, like that's the head of the river over there, so it might just be about that. So, Pison means changing. The river Pison means changing. Havilah means circle, twist, dance, or gold. I put a few in here because it just kept going. It had so many different meanings. I was saying it's changing gold. It's a metaphor how God's perfection was changed to sustain Eden. Not just to stay in Eden, but to start fulfilling his plan, like he said. Like the plan that was being set up. So it's part of beauty. Gold is beauty. Gold is rich. It provides the access to resources. It's like it's plentiful there, and it just runs from God down the river. It's just a natural end to his light and goodness. 1:12. Gold and black and precious metals linked to change the implications of these elements seems significant, but I feel it's more of a picture being created emphasizing the multiple beauties of God's creation. So a lot of the time when we think of God, we do think that he is like all white or all good or whatever like this, but when it comes to, it's mentioning here that like these precious metals can be very dark, very devoid of light, but still be beautiful and be the runoff of God in a natural sense. So it's not that God doesn't have these a part of him. What I think it more gets at is when you add sort of an Eastern philosophy mindset to it. It's sort of like the yin and the yang, right? So we've got the gold on one side and we've got the black on the other side. Neither are bad or neither are good, because they both have their pros and their cons. But it's what you use them for, that is important, and how you take what God gives you and change it to your uses, or what you do with the gifts God gives you, basically. 113. All meanings point to this being a rushing torrent, darkness, and this rushing is haphazard. So here we see, even in Eden, there's this sense of chaotic beauty, I'm guessing. So the torrent, the flow, the gushing, is so much coming from God. But that isn't to say that's bad either. So there's order, there's chaos, and neither one is intrinsically good or bad. Again, it's more how you look at it and what it does, and how you use it, and how you go about it. The gifts of life can be confusing and contradictory sometimes. But if you don't go with these ideas and you try to fight against them, you'll be overwhelmed by the time. In 114, I've got, this implies a more purposeful rushing, either to the rest of the world, back to God, or both, with the last river, the Euphrates, being breakthrough. I feel there's a picture of sustenance God is providing, is being used and changed for beauty and life's progression. Again, even when I did this the first time and I went through it, I was sort of getting that idea, and now that I've looked back at it and I'm rereading it again, it's really giving me that sense. Is like I said, you look at God at the head of Eden, you see the waters that are rushing from him, and again, these are the waters more akin to the essence of life, or the essence of creation, and really giving it that what we take from God, how it's given to us, and how we're supposed to use it and guide it and attend to it and make his garden beautiful. We have to deal with the way he gives the gifts. Maybe it's just the way the gifts come to us. It's not even how he's chosen to give them, it's just how they come. In 115, I've got, we again put man in Eden for the purpose of sustaining Eden. So I'll go back and I'll read again, because I kind of skipped over that, but that was more about the rivers anyway. And the Lord God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and keep it. Again, it's like there's this definite emphasis that God's got us here to tend to the rest of his creation. It's not just that the creation was given to us, it's that we're given to be caretakers of it, and it in retrospect is also for us. There's this yin, there's this yang, both there to be one and part of the whole. God lays down his first commandment, and it's guidelines of Eden. So I can't read my own handwriting again, so we're at 115. And the Lord God took the man, put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and keep it. Oh, I kind of skipped 14. Whatever, we'll go to 16. Oh, that is 16. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou must freely eat. Yeah, so, it's dietary, that's right. So in 116, yeah, the first command he gives is basically a guide on what to eat, right? Like, all this stuff you see, this is all the best stuff you can eat. Anything that's outside of here later on, probably, maybe not. You'll have to work that out for yourself, right? You're caretakers, it's what you're created for, so if that's the one thing we can be trusted to do, like, bloody hell. It's our one job past that, right? Probably why he gives it to us. Anyway, in 117, I've got, when God says day here, I feel he means his days, and I think it is known. Also note the lack of Eve during the commandment. Also not the tree of life mentioned. This seems intentional. So this is a big one in my eyes. At 117. But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. So, yeah, this is the kind of second commandment he gives, and it's to tell us not to eat of the tree. And again, so what I mean here is, when he means you'll die that day, he means on the seventh day, because the seventh day hasn't ended. Maybe. Who knows how long these days actually go for, because it is God's timeline. God sees man's loneliness and intends to fix it. Did God see this coming? It seems not. Again, this feels intentional. And the Lord God said, It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him. That's what mine says. A help meet. Like as in help you meet someone. M-E-E-T. It's written here and it's written in there too. It's like a grammatical error. I don't know. And like I said, like, did he know man was going to be lonely, or did he not see that coming? Because it's like omniscience, right? I think God has extremely good foresight to the point that a human brain could barely comprehend it. But I don't think that he's completely like omniscient. I don't think he could be. I think he maybe is a four-dimensional being. He'll seem that way because he has some understanding of times that we do not have. But yeah. God forms more animals and birds from dust. Are these special, or is that just a breath? Adam's named and names everything. And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam, and see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. So like, he brings them all to name. He's not even, it doesn't even actually say that he's bringing them there to be the helpmate. He's saying he brought them there to get them named. You could make the argument that that was the intention, but it doesn't say it. So I don't like to try and put words in other people's mouths. So I'm not going to try and put words in the mouth of something that was written that long ago. I think that that's a foolish thing to do. I think the only thing you can do is read the text, all the text, I guess, weigh them all up and see whatever the best one is, and then make a decision based on that. And for what I see, this was just part of Adam's purpose. And it's just kind of odd that it flips the script from chapter 1, where animals were created, then man, now it's man, then animals, but not important. Adam doesn't want a pet. And Adam gave names to all the cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field, but for Adam there was not a helpmeet for him. Okay, so yeah, possibly he was trying to find him a helpmeet. But it was like, what is a helpmeet? I don't know. It seems odd to me. Either way, obviously it wasn't right. God performs surgery, taking a rib. Pretty self-explanatory. God makes a woman from the rib. We're at 122. And the rib which the Lord God had taken him, and he made woman, brought her unto the man. Adam names woman marriage on 24. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Marriage. Unashamed nudist. They're unashamed nudists. They're naked and they're unashamed. We're all naked underneath our clothes, and we are not ashamed. Well, I'm not. I walk around naked unashamed. It's just people might get weird about it. People's kids don't want to see my pee-pee, and I don't want my kids to see other men's pee-pees. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. So there's the second chapter. I don't know where I put it off for so long, to be honest. I don't know, just motivation leaves me. Hopefully doing this will get me re-motivated again, because I do 2 videos in one night. And I actually really do enjoy the Bible study. And I know I could just go ahead and do another chapter after that one in the book from the Bible study, but I think that takes away from it. What I'm trying to do here, I need to keep this fresh in my mind, and it is annoying when I join the streams that I've only got these parts of the Bible in my mind when I'm thinking about Bible things, because I only think I understand up to here, even though this is the second time I've done this. Other than that, I'd really like to hear some people's thoughts on anything I've had to say. I know that that's clicking sound that everybody can hear is really annoying. Trust me, we all live with it in my house. It's just the only way my computer works. Hopefully one day I get a better computer, but I'm probably not going to redo this series until I get to the end of the Bible and start again, which, as anybody would know, is going to take a good time if I do it properly. Other than that, may God bless everyone, whether you're a believer or not, in whatever way he needs to, or they need to. Probably a better way to say that. And I love you all. I really do, even though I am angry. I wouldn't be angry unless I loved you all. Peace and respect. Latest.